Good evening, friends, and welcome to Littleport Christian Spiritualists. It is a pleasure to welcome you all back to the humble Chateau del Nick, to Le Boudoir de la Brown, whatever you wish to call it. I call it home, and you're all most very, very welcome. And it's a pleasure to have you all joining here this Thursday night for a demonstration of mediumship, but also a demonstration of the Christian spiritualist faith. That is important, and you will find out why in a moment. Now, shortly we will be introducing our medium for this evening, the lovely Sandra Shelley. She's one of us. And of course, we will have a word or 3 or 50 from our most Reverend Lynn, Principal Minister of the New Christian Spiritualist Society. But first, I want to say a few words. Firstly, I'd like to thank everybody for their endearing and enduring support over the last few weeks for both myself and my family, and also this church, which I consider part of that. And I'd also like to thank everyone for all of the healing. And especially, I'd like to thank Tony Swindles, who kept the flag flying. And he did get a good reward out of it, let's be honest, from Reverend Lynn. But he did it because he cared, not for gain or anything like that. And a well-deserved ordination there for Tony. But a big thank you from me for helping keeping things going. And to everyone, to all of our regular backstage cast who constantly fly the flag of spirit every Thursday night. And for my part, to fly the flag of spirit tonight, I wish to address something that people may often wonder about people like us. We're human beings. If you prick me, do I not bleed? If you punch me, do I not hurt? And if I lose something, I miss it. And it's the same for mediums as it is all across the board. Now, there was a conversation going on whilst I was getting ready this evening, and they did say, well, you can take your camera off, but you can still hear what we're saying, so we can still hear you. And there was one comment that was made that really did tie in with what I wanted to say tonight. And Reverend Lynn mentioned that these things that we endure mean that we can help the next person for those who are suffering. And that's really important. One of the things that I learned as a medium right from the very early stages of development, one of the things that Spirit reminded us of, and one of the things that Lynn mentioned a few times, was that mediums do suffer. Because if you don't understand what someone's going through, how can you help them? Well, one of the most important things about this way of life, and in particular the fact that we are Christian spiritualists, people often ask the question, what is your defining moment of your faith? What is the defining moment? And quite often, if you asked anyone who was Christian, they would say it's either Christmas or Easter, the birth of Christ or the resurrection. But for me, it's neither. It's close to Easter, don't get me wrong. But it's the story of the Garden of Gethsemane. Because the defining moment of faith is having faith and keeping faith. And even Jesus, who had such great communicative ability, even with the top bloke himself, even with his strength and courage and conviction, all the things he'd seen and done and witnessed, he asked if the cup would pass in the Garden of Gethsemane. He said, please, why me? It was that moment of perfect human fragility. But of course the cup would not pass, and the guards came. But he knew that would happen nonetheless. He could have ran, but he stayed, because he knew they'd catch up with him eventually. The defining moment for my faith is knowing that sometimes things don't always go the way we want them to. But then at the end of the day, what else is faith for? It's not just about the good times. In actual fact, it's mostly about the difficult times, because you don't need faith when you're happy. You should have it nonetheless, but you don't need it desperately in the bad times. I always say that faith and reason are like the shoes on your feet. Faith sustains us when reason tells us there is no hope. Faith is what matters. It always has done to me, and it always will do to me. I often wondered if I were faced with my own personal Gethsemane, whether I would stay or whether I would run. Well, it's Thursday night, and I'm back. So thank you all for your support, and I will speak to you all shortly. But first, we've got an introduction. And she's known to us. She's a good friend. She's a good laugh. And she's always full of beans. And I don't mean Heinz. It is the lovely Sandra Shelley. Good evening, Sandra.
Good evening. How are you doing?
Not so bad, darling. Yourself?
Coping as everybody else is. Getting used to being stuck at home. But, hey, we have to do our bit, don't we?
That we do. That we do. Well, what have you been up to regarding your work? I understand there was a development circle last night with a meditation.
I've been doing so much, especially since Christmas. Everything just seems to be sort of coming together. It's beautiful. I've had a lot more connectivity with my guides, and even going higher up in the realms. I've been talking to more people, giving readings over video and phone calls. There's so much need out there at the moment for not for people just to connect with their family and friends, but also they just need the connection of knowing that there's somebody else out there that cares. There's been a lot of that as well. So I've been doing an awful lot of spiritual counselling as well. But the pinnacle was last night, when I was asked if to lead our meditation group last night, and oh my word, we had a wonderful evening. Alan just let me go, and maybe he shouldn't done, because I took them under the sea, and they were all spinning under the sea, but they did it. It was fantastic, and we got some amazing messages out of it. So yeah, I'm really pleased with that. And I've also started up I've got a little circle going, a little development circle going with a couple of people in Cyprus.
Wonderful. Oh, that's brilliant.
As well as a lovely, lovely friend over here. So we're expanding. We started with one of us, then we became two of us, and then last week it became three of us. Three of them. So now there's four of us in the group, and I'm learning just as much from them as they are from me. It's wonderful. So thank you for it.
Brilliant. Well, that is really, really wonderful, and everyone's saying a wonderful good evening to you, of course, Sandra, and a few to me. So hello to one and all. And yeah, it's good to be back. So thank you all, and it's a family affair. What can I say? But absolutely. No family is complete without well, how do I put this? A head at the table, or the angry old nan in the corner. I don't know if it's a blend of the two, and whether I'll get a slap for that or not. But I do know that whenever she speaks, people listen, because they should. And whenever she speaks, she's always got something very important to say. And so let's find out what that important thing is to say. So shall we say those magic words? Good evening, Reverend Lynn.
Good evening, Reverend Lynn.
Good evening to you, and God bless you all, and God bless you, Sandra, and of course you, Reverend Nick, and everybody, of course. Now, I was very interested in listening to the tales, first of all, of course, for Reverend Nick's address, but also to your tales of your circle and the meditations and so forth, because I've been thinking very much with my people over there about the history of our wonderful spiritualism and all the old pioneers. And of course, because I'm a bit old myself, I also have the privilege of having known some of them personally. And I was thinking of all those circle leaders, because indeed, you know, Sandra, you are following in a grand tradition, as we all are now, of people who not only received those gifts of the Spirit themselves, but were prepared to put themselves out there and impart that knowledge and the teachings from the Spirit through themselves to others, as you are doing yourself. And I was thinking about all the wonderful people that I'd met, like Ursula Roberts, who was a marvelous medium, and so many people. And I've got here, and funnily enough, I've looked into some old photos, and this one here, you can see people who are now, some of them now in spirit. But this was taken at the Arthur Findlay College many, many years ago. We were all sitting eating together. And the people you could see there is Don and Joyce Gobbett, and Joyce recently went over herself, and Bridget Hickey, wonderful person, and Burnett Britton, and so many people. And you know, they're in sort of our recent past. But they're all people that devoted themselves and gave their energies to our wonderful spiritualism. And here we have the original people from Harry Edwards. They were taught by Harry Edwards himself, Ray and Joan Branch, of course, and Olive and the others there, all at Shear, at the Healing Sanctuary there that he set up. And so many wonderful, wonderful people. And I think that I know that they are all on our side, as it were, that they're all there. And I'm sure that the people that you work with in spirit, Sandra, are all part and parcel of that larger group of people, teachers, who were down here. And of course, as I'm mentioning, you know, some of whom I was privileged to know. And people like Ursula Roberts, whose guide Ramadan brought through some wonderful teachings. And of course, there we go, Maurice Barbanel, of course, with Silver Birch, a spokesperson for his group, and so many wonderful teachings. And I think that to hold circles now is the most vital job that we could all do. You know, having said that, I'm not doing it, but then I do sometimes talk into the you know, the wild blue yonder and record what I'm saying, and it turns out that it could sort of help people along their way in the way of development and meditation for themselves, you know. So although I'm not terribly technologically au fait, as you all know, so the sort of Zoom things and all that is a bit beyond me, but certainly I do try and offer meditations and development, you know, through the little videos that I make and so on. And I think that more than anything, as you said, Sandra, yourself, you know, those messages from the higher realms, as well as those from the lower realms, if we might be so bold as to say this is where most of our relatives dwell, when they, well, at least if they don't dwell in the lower realms nearer to us, they actually come down, you know, to speak with us on those planes of existence. But those more illustrious beings, you know, they can offer us so much solace at times like these when we're all suffering, that to actually be able to say, well, actually, you know, I've got your mother and father here who send their love, but there is somebody here who wants to give you some encouragement over and above, you know, and to bring forth the kind of communications that you get, you know, to give to people from those, you know, rather more elevated souls. I think they're very much needed at this time. I think that civilization and people themselves have moved on a lot from, you know, the terrors and horrors of the 1418 war, when so many souls were bursting to come back, and the mediums that we had were working full time to actually get messages through to their loved ones that they'd left down here. Now, are you hearing me okay?
Yes, you're still fine. Keep tapping. Oh, she's just untapped.
She didn't tap quick enough.
She didn't tap quick enough. Oh, hang on. We can bring her back, though. She's still there.
There she is.
I am here.
You tapped again.
I've tapped.
Good.
Is that okay?
Yeah, it's very true what you were saying, Reverend Lynn, with regards to the higher energies coming through and talking with us through our meditation and circle and everything. It's very important, I feel, that we hear from them, because they are the ones that are teaching us, that are letting us know what it is that we need to know, and how to do things on the earth plane, and get the love out there, to get the truth out there, that loved ones are still around. And I feel that the way to do that is through circle, like-minded people all coming together, because then those that are training within the circle can then go out and give their knowledge and everything to others, and that's what it's all about. It's spreading the love, spreading the spirit.
Completely. And as you know, and to back that up, I've always believed that our friends and relatives prove survival, but it's our guides and inspirers and helpers who give us a way to live, to think, to breathe, to love, and how to let go. And you know, just to not to sully the waters, shall we say, but regarding yourself, Lynn, in spite of the fact that you may not currently hold circle now, I think that in year 2000, there were 3 circles going in Littleport alone that you were responsible for. In fact, around about that time, you made something which you might have seen a glimpse, but I will bring it back up for those at home. Lynn actually has a meditation CD that does feel like you're sitting in her living room with her, called Iconoclast, Tuning into Spirit, and it is actually available. There is one particular place advertised there, of course, but it's available on all of the bigger and littler named brands of MP3 streaming. So your circle does in actual fact continue and on and on and on, and will be able to do so long after all of us have gone home. So you know, I think that's a wonderful thing, and those wise words will continue, because there is actually a Q&A at the end of that set of meditations from the group in Spirit Iconoclast with whom you work. So and I'm reminded actually that one of the questions that was asked of them was, believe it or not, and that is just blown my mind actually, one of the questions that's asked of them, if memory serves me, is, should spiritualism be an organized faith? And the words were, spiritualism would do well to be organized. And you know, I certainly understand why that group works with you. But
well, yeah,
it's a timely reminder, I think, that there's more to it.
Are you hearing me okay?
Fine. No echo. No.
I just finished what I was saying, that you know, with regard to the mass of mediums who are working away like Billio during the 1418 war to actually give evidence of survival of loved ones to their loved ones left here. But as we've moved on from that, and on from the Second World War, when the same thing was going on, but what I've seen is that the population at large are now more amenable and more interested in the higher teachings that are coming through. And so where people were satisfied perhaps with the survival evidence that they received from their loved ones, at the same time, there's more need now and more acceptance now of the fact that there are these wonderful teachers in spirit who can impart wisdom and help us to live our lives properly. And I think what I'd like to leave everybody thinking about is, you know, it's so selfish the way people live outside of the spiritualist way, of course. That perhaps we need to know what the antidote to selfishness is, because it's easy to be selfish, isn't it? We all need things, we want something. Well, how do we actually counteract that in ourselves and in others? We exercise generosity of spirit. So I would say, you know, if you're feeling a little bit selfish, like me, or why me, or I'm feeling terrible, think of something you can give away. Think of something you can give to somebody else who's in need of that something. You know, somebody may be not just in need of spiritual sustenance, but might need a boost of material goods. You know, because in this day and age, and people their jobs are at stake, and some people are out of work now and suffering greatly financially. You know, if we can look around and find somebody that we could give something to, then that's a wonderful antidote to worrying about how selfish you are. Because I don't mean any of you are selfish, or anybody that is listening to me at this time, but I am saying that there are times when I have felt selfish. And the antidote to that, I know, is generosity of spirit. And so we should all try and be generous of spirit with everybody. And I think that is a major teaching from them upstairs, you know. Although I do love Uncle Bill and Uncle Tom and, you know, our parents and grandparents and everybody that comes forward at these times. But I think, you know, those in the higher realms have really, you know, got something to say to us all about, you know, managing to keep our own selves feeling worthwhile. Because I think that, you know, we need to feel that we are worth something, even if we're feeling rotten. And I think in order to do that, we need to be generous of our spirit and generously give to somebody, you know, someone who's in need. Find somebody who's in need and give them something. Even if it's a packet of biscuits or something for their children, you know, nobody's going to refuse that, as long as it's not with the seal broken, Reverend Nick. Do not eat the biscuits first before giving them away.
Would I?
Brilliant. No, that just applies
I
to
everybody.
I believe there's a modern phrase that backs you up there, Reverend Lynn, and it's called paying it forward.
Yeah.
And I think that absolutely sums it up. And I just love the way you've been talking about the past, and your image has gone from black and white to sepia to very grainy, and now you're back in high def. Oh, there we go. You were.
There is where Littleport Christian Spiritualists started.
Yeah, the committee room
You'll
upstairs.
See in there. You'll see, yeah, Reverend Kathy at the back there. You'll see June Bauer, who's now gone. One of our number who's gone. And we started in the little committee room upstairs at the village hall in Littleport. And there's a Polaroid to prove it. And that was the place where our Reverend Nick didn't fall on his sword. He fell on my tape machine. And he was in charge of the music. And she fell on it. And his finger stabbed at it. And we got the Vesper hymn instead of whatever it was supposed to be. And from there on, it was chaos. Thank you, Reverend Nick, for that night. It's about 20 odd years ago now.
Yes, it was.
23 years.
23 years.
And I still remember the night, and I still remember the moment when he fell on that machine.
And I still remember the way you described my tea making skills. And on that note, I will say thank you very much, Lynn. And as always, much appreciated. Wise words from you and your friends. Thank you, darling. And God bless you. And stay for the end, why don't you? Because I know you'll be back.
Thank you.
God bless. Thank you. Well, now it is time to put that teaching into practice and have a little bit of philosophical input from the world of spirit. because it's time for our reading. So are you there, Reverend Alan and Reverend Penny?
Yes, we are, Nick. That's better. Well, Lynn's final words about giving of our spirit is really going to tie in well, I believe. Anyway, tonight's reading is called My Prayer for You, and it is sent out to every person that I know that is watching, every person that I do not know that is watching, and indeed every person that is drawing breath. And this is it. And the author is unknown. I thought of you so much today. I went to God in prayer to ask him to watch over you and show you that I care. My prayer for you was not for rewards, ones that you can touch or feel, but true rewards of happiness that are so very real, like love and understanding in all the things you do, for guidance when you need it most, to see your troubles through. I ask him for good health for you, and your future could be bright, and faith to accept life's challenges with courage and do what's right. I gave thanks to him for granting my prayer and to bring my peace and love. May you feel the warmth in your life with God's blessing from above. Thank you.
Yeah, there's definitely ties in. Thank you. Absolutely beautiful. Thank you, my friend. So how are we?
Yeah, we're good. Thank you. Very good. Just keep smiling. Regardless.
That's it. I believe it was Churchill who said KBO, but I'm not at liberty to share what that stands for during a divine service, so I won't. But it's of great meaning and purpose. But no, absolutely beautiful words, wise words, and a wonderful input from Spirit and your friends and helpers as well.
Yeah.
So thank you for that, dear friends.
You're welcome.
And you are, of course, going to stay around for the end, aren't you?
Of course.
Brilliant. Well, until then, thank you very much, and we'll speak to you soon.
Okay.
God bless. Well, shortly we'll be having some healing, and then we will be going on to our demonstration of mediumship, because we've got 3 recipients sitting oh so patiently waiting. They're also very quiet. In fact, one of them's extremely quiet, but I'll explain that later.
And a challenge.
A challenge, absolutely. But a couple of notices first. Of course, we will continue to broadcast our services for as long as we are in lockdown from here, and even after that, we will find a way of broadcasting for everyone who can't make it to a church somewhere. Every week we will continue with that. And next week's medium's actually watching us. It's a bit of a coup for us. It's a bit of a coup for me to be able to tell you during the middle of the service who next week's medium is, to be honest with you. But that's just everything getting set up and sorted, been delayed. But our medium for next week is actually really exciting, because he's a good mate of mine, but also he's an international input to our church. It's there he is. It's Matthew Stapley. He's going to be joining us. He was a recipient for a message a couple of weeks back, and yeah, he lives in Canada. Does some excellent work. I've watched him. He didn't know I was watching at the time. I've watched some of his playbacks. I think he'll fit in just perfectly fine with us. He's definitely one of us, that's for sure. So very much looking forward to that next week.
Yeah, definitely.
And I do the notices in the middle now, because I know everyone tends to go home and to bed and to watch EastEnders and make a cup of tea. So let us move swiftly on that note to our healing silence, which of course is another vital means of mediumship. where we send out our thoughts to all those who are sick and suffering and in need of comfort. We will begin, as ever, with the healing prayer, which is doing the rounds with just my few tweaks, but it is doing the rounds all over the world now, which is lovely for them lot, because it's quite important that we share everything we get. And so we begin with that. We have our video of lovely candles and music, and then we say Amen. And then, of course, it's up to you to get on with some work, love.
I know. I'm calling them in.
That's it. I can see that. I can see that. Good. So let's join together, friends, and send out our thoughts to everyone in our mind who we know are in need of healing. Each week, of course, I do mention a few names that have been given to me throughout the week. Personally, though, for me this week, I'd like to ask for healing for Mum and Sharon and Paul and Nigel and all of my family, and Tiffany and Grace and Sandra and their partners. But also, I've been asked to send healing to Tim and Judy and their family as well, and everyone who's in your mind. As we say, Great Spirit, Father, Mother God, here we bring unto you all those who are sick and suffering and in need of comfort, be they sick in mind, body, or spirit, that it may please thee to heal them, both those we know, those we do not know, and those who have no one to ask for them. We ask for them now. Amen. Well, friends, now is the time in our service where I get out of the way and hand over to the lovely Sandra and her guides. And of course, we can't do that until we've got a recipient. So the first person in the list, it usually works in order of arrival, and I think it has done. Mary, are you there?
Yes, I'm
Good evening.
here.
Wonderful. Welcome. I'll get out your way and I'll see you in just under 10 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Hello, Mary.
Hello, Sandra.
Hello. Cool. They don't normally get me like this, but I have somebody who's coming in and they're making me feel really, really giggly. Really giggly. And I want to say that they are it's a young spirit, and it's in fact what's coming in is a child. It's a child in spirit that's coming forward, and she's just very giggly and very happy to be here, and she wants to say Nana. She wants to call you Nana. So I want to say that this is a granddaughter that has passed to spirit somewhere in life.
Yes.
Thank you. And she's just she's got the most luscious hair that you could just sit in front and just comb and through, and she loved it, and you could just comb it through, and she was such a loving little soul. She passed before her time, much sooner than she should have done. But she just wants to come in and give you lots of cuddles and kisses. And just to make she's just saying, Nana, I'm around. Don't think I'm not, because I am. And I hold your hand, and sometimes you can feel that someone's holding your hand when you're feeling a bit low. She says, that's me. You know my name. Just tell me, just call me, just say hello. But she's just come in to say hello, hello, hello. I'm so glad I got you. She's actually making way for another lady, and this lady coming in. She's coming in and saying, "Please don't worry, Mary. I'm looking after her. She's being a little tinker." She's using the word tinker. Now that's a very old-fashioned way of calling a little one when they're mischievous.
It certainly is.
And I want to put this lady on your grandmother, on your maternal side, on your mother's side, your mother's mother. And grandma is coming in, and grandma, she wants to say grandma. She wants to say she preferred grandma, but she didn't always get called it. Bless her. But basically, she says I answered to anything, so long as they didn't upset me. They upset me, they knew it. She says they knew it. And now she's saying something like that is happening with you at the moment, but you're keeping it in. Someone is upsetting you at the moment, my dear, and you're keeping it in. You've got to tell them what's what. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Thank you. You've got to tell them.
Okay.
She's saying you are bordering yourself up because you don't want to upset anyone. Well, it doesn't work that way, she's saying. It doesn't work that way. The only way for people to learn is to upset them. But they will know that you are there at the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's when you're not there. And she says, and I don't want to say any more, she says, because she's going to burst into tears if she does.
Oh, bless her.
All right, but she is saying, she's doing that. She's. I wish you would say something because you are dying to say something.
Oh, bide my time.
Well, now she's okay. She says now's the time.
Okay then, thank you.
It's now that they have to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Everything's going to be okay. It may look as if the situation from your viewpoint is going to look as if it's tipsy-turvy. It's overturned. Stop. What am I looking at? It's turned upside down. It may look as if it's turned upside down, but in actual fact, it hasn't.
Okay.
That is only what you're thinking. It has to turn upside down so that they can see it the right way up.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on to that, because the people we're talking about, they are blinkered. She says, she's showing me a racehorse with blinkers on, and I want to say that it's more a couple rather than a one-sided thing. And they are running along thinking they know it all, and they got the blinkers on, and they're going to come to a fence, and they're not going to. The horse doesn't make it. It's just going to stop. Okay. So she's saying, when I say it's got to go upside down, they're going to have to roll off the horse before they can see what's really going on. And you're the one that is going to show them without realising it.
Oh, okay.
You have your ways, don't you?
Sorry?
You have your way, don't you?
No
when
way.
When you want something, or when you want something done, you always you seem to put it in such a way that it makes it sound as if it's coming from them. It's their idea, not yours.
Oh, but that's the way to be, isn't it?
Absolutely. You'd be surprised how I've done with my kids. They think I don't know anything, but and I know one of them's probably watching, but that'll make them laugh. But that's how it's going to happen.
Okay then, thank you.
Okay. I've also there's a gentleman. Okay. I've got a fastidious. Now there's another word. I've got a fastidious gentleman who comes in and he's coming beside me, and he's all prim and proper, always had to wear a tie. He's making me try do this into a tie, and upright. Yeah. Military man.
Yes.
Very much in charge of where he was and what he was doing in life. I want to put him as a grandfather, but I want to put him as your husband's father, as opposed to your maternal grandfather.
Okay. Yeah. Oh yes. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So, and he's come marching in, and he wants to say, okay, this is a message for you and your husband. You need to pull your socks up. You're letting your I want to say, okay, he's coming forward with the word morals, but that's not the word he means. He's saying basically you're letting yourselves slide down a bit, and you need to bring yourselves back up again to what you truly believe in.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're listening to too many things are being shoved at you all at once, and you just don't know who to believe, where to go, what to do. He's saying you've always had your own minds. You've always talked it out between the pair of you. You've always made up your own minds and got your own knowledge about things. On this particular occasion, he says, I need you to go back to that format again.
Okay.
And then you will know what it is that you've got to do. And I feel it's feeling as if it's all to do with this COVID thing.
Yes.
I feel that there's a lot of indecision about who believes it, who doesn't. Do we do this? Do we do that? And he's saying there's so much of it going on in the world, but we all have to look at it as individuals, not follow the sheep.
Yeah.
So whatever you decide, you stick to.
Oh yeah.
Okay. That, and he's saying that you've always done that, and it's always worked out. Okay. But he's there giving you both strength.
Okay.
Both strength so that you can march forward. And say, march forward with the confidence that I know that you have.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. I'm being shown, okay, grandmother is coming in now, and she's showing me this beautiful country garden. And I feel that this garden is somewhere that you used to visit when you were younger. Okay. And it's full of, it's like a mapped out garden. It's a really pretty garden. There's like there's a pathway going up the middle of it. And each side you've got different things. You've got flowers and bushes and things on one side. The other side is all the vegetables.
Yeah.
All the lovely vegetables. Rhubarb. She's showing me she's picking from the rhubarb crown. And this rhubarb crown is so old. And it's sat in the corner of the garden. And she said, you remember the times when we used to go down and pick the rhubarb for our rhubarb pies? We used to go back and eat and make pies for dinner. She'd always send one home as well when you had visits.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, hold on to that. Okay. It's a shame that's not so much rhubarb around now, she's saying, because rhubarb is good for you. And you're not eating properly. You're not eating properly. You're letting yourself slide. So more vitamins, please. She's given me a huge bunch of white chrysanthemums for you.
Okay, thank you.
There's a reason why they're white. She's saying, you know the trick of when you put the chrysanthemums when they're white into dyed water, they turn colour. She's saying, with these white chrysanthemums, I want you to remember there is a lot of colour in this world, and you need to open up to the colour.
Okay,
and
lovely.
she's
Thank
showing
you.
you with rainbow love.
Oh, thank you.
From that, I'll send you their love.
Thank you, Sandra.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you.
Well, Mary, it's nice to finally speak to you after all these months of seeing you chatting in the side panel here and making your comments. It's lovely to finally properly meet you, my darling.
Lovely. Thank you, Nick.
And I hope that's been of help to you. And do stay around, of course, for the closing prayer, because I bring everyone back up, those that wish to.
Yeah.
And so thank you again, and see you in a bit. God bless.
Thank you.
Well, we always say that work is about challenge, and challenge is nonetheless something that we have lined up now. So everyone involved now knows who they are, unless there has been some technological advancements in the interim. We're about to find this out. Karen, are you there? She's here, yes. So we don't have any sound, but this is not a problem, because we are all able to read those gestures of and so feel free to use whichever ones you wish, and I will once again get out of the way.
Okay. Karen, can you hear me all right? Lovely. Okay, Karen, you've been silenced for a reason. This is so funny. Okay, you've been silenced for a reason. Okay, Spirit have come forward, and I've got this lady with me, and I want to. She's a lovely little lady. She's got little pearly sort of coloured greyish hair, and she's curly. I want to put her as grandmother, but not grandma. I want to put her as great grandma. Now this is even going to be even funnier, because you wouldn't have met her. So not only are we dealing with great grandma that you've not met, but also no voice. Okay, so great grandma is coming in and saying, "I've shut you up at last." She's saying, "It's unbelievable. You can talk the hind legs off of a donkey at times. But the brilliant thing is," she says, "is you know what you're talking about. But you don't believe that you know what you're talking about. Is that right?" She's saying that you've got to start believing that you know what you're talking about, because you are helping so many people out there, especially at the moment. It's almost as if no, I don't want to say almost, it is. You are counselling people without you even realising it. You are helping people, especially friends and family, to cope with what's going on in the world. And for you to do that, she said, that is your healing coming out. You know you've got healing properties. You know you can do it. You're just not accepting it. So she's come in and she's saying, come on, now is the time to join the healing meditation circle, to talk to people about your meditating, get into a routine of healing and learn. And you will be surprised, she says. It'll come to you so quickly because you already do it. All right? Okay, lovely. Thank you. She's also saying that, okay, if you hadn't screwed that light bulb in tight enough, I would have made it jump out. You having issues with light bulbs? No? Okay. No, she's not going to let it go. I want you to keep an eye out for your light bulbs, because she's going to make one, maybe two of them go pop. And it's not because they are no good or anything. It's because you're not listening. And I want to prove to you that I am here. And the only way, that the best way for anybody, any spirit, to let us know that they are here is to like, you put a brand new light bulb in and the light bulb goes pop. All right. So she's saying in the next few days, just watch out for that. Okay. You'll have to let me know. All right. Okay. She says, I love you. But I brought somebody else with me. I just wanted to say that. Don't worry. Oh, and your voice will come back. Okay. Okay, come on in. I've got a young man here. Okay. I've got a young man, and he's showing me himself. He's showing me, I want to say nephew. I feel it's a nephew that's coming in. Okay. Okay, I can't take him away. I've got a young man coming in and he's making me feel on the lines of a nephew. So similar age to son or daughter. but you looked upon him. He left the earth plane too early through illness, and he's coming in, and he just wants to say that he thanks you very much for looking after him when he was younger. Okay, it was a family friend. It was a friend of the children. They used to go to school. He used to go to school with one of them. Okay, I just want you to hold it. Okay, but I'll just pass you the message. All right, because he won't go away. He says, you will remember me because I used to come in and I used to sit on your kitchen. You used to tell me off because I used to come in and sit on the kitchen side, and you hated that, and he always shooed me off of the kitchen side. He was a cheeky chappy, little cheeky chappy, and he used to come in. He used to come in with one of the children. Thank you. And he always classed you as auntie. That's why he's come. That's why he's coming in as on a nephew field. All right. He's going, yay, she remembers. Okay. He wants to say that. Okay, darling. Yeah, take your time. Okay, a little somber, then we'll laugh. Okay. I left too early and I hated it that I had to leave everybody because I had so much to do. But it's okay because I'm doing it on this side now. And I'm with you. And I'm actually one of your healing guides. Okay. He's saying that when you start feeling spirit, that healing spirit around you, it's going to be him. Call him by his name and he will come in closer to you and help you. Even now, he will help you whenever you're speaking, whenever you're counseling, whenever you're helping someone, even if it's just a touch of the hand or a phone call to a friend. You will find yourself saying words that you don't recognize are yours, but they are of a comfort to the person that you are talking with. Okay, that's him coming through and helping you with your healing abilities. Okay, bless him. And I'm going to make you laugh quite often because you need to cheer up, he says. You've been a bit doldrums lately. He's showing me a single red rose, and he's saying it's a memory. He says, if you can't remember it, don't worry, I will put it back in there. All right. He's saying, I gave you this single red rose one Valentine's Day, and you just laughed. He said, and we turned it into a joke, but you will remember, because for him, that's the day he felt very, very safe with you. He's saying he wants to say thank you because that was the turning point for him, that Valentine's Day, when he just felt really safe and loved, because up until that point he hadn't really. Okay, and that's why he always called you auntie. But that's okay. He says you're going to have loads of flowers this Valentine's Day. I'm going to make sure of it. Okay. And he brings in a dozen red roses for you now. Okay, and I'll leave their love to you. God bless. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us, Karen. And everyone's commenting. What a beautiful reading. And
Thank you.
we were talking at the beginning about mediumship, and we were talking in general about recipients being trained to say yes, yes, or yes. But one of the things that I find absolutely brilliant about that reading, in particular the young nephew coming through with the young friend, is we are always trained to give what we get and have faith in our guides. And even when someone can't initially accept it, to just keep giving the evidence that spirit give you, because that's what's needed. And then that sudden realization and that sudden look on Karen's face, that's why.
Yeah.
That's why. Because we as human beings can't always remember everything that we've experienced just like that. But those in spirit know what's impacted them, and they remember it. And it's up to us to make sure that that message gets through, and we give the information as given. And that I certainly witnessed with that expression. So bless you, Karen. And I would imagine in about 5 minutes' time, your microphone will probably start working or something.
Yeah, it will, yeah.
Because everything happens for a reason.
Karen,
So
can you put in the comments who that young man was?
let us know.
Let us know who the young man
and
was.
I'll put it up on the screen for you.
Yeah, thank you.
And just out of curiosity, if anybody's wondering why I've got the telly on behind me, because I'm actually watching the service on the YouTube app on a telly. You can do, because we broadcast on YouTube as well. So if ever anyone wants to watch it on the telly rather than on a laptop, you can just use your YouTube app, find my page, and it says streaming live right now. So I'm just really filling space because Karen's typing, bless her heart. And I just wanted to give her a chance to type what she wanted without being rushed. And knowing my luck, it probably won't come up. Oh, right. Okay, here we go.
Wonderful,
he was my son's friend, and he always used to call myself and my husband mum and dad. There we go. Bless you. And thank you for popping that up, Karen.
Thank you very much, Karen.
Bless your heart. So there we are.
No, Karen, he's not leaving you now. Now that he's got that connection, you'll have to say to your son that he's going to cause mischief in the house. Be warned.
Quite right too. Bless you. Well, I know you can't say amen audibly for everyone to hear us, but do stay around for the prayer at the end so that you can say it for yourself, because actually that's what we should all do. And on that note, I'll say see you at the end, darling, and thank you for joining us. God bless you. Well, we are shortly going to be having our final reading of the evening. But first of all, a tradition that I have not partaken in a few weeks' time. It is, of course, time in our service where we have the last reading. And, of course, our readings are pulled out by raffle for anyone who wants one. And a tradition we had in Littleport was at the very last prize of the raffle was Bully's special prize. And that tradition continues because... What time is it, Hannah?
Good prize.
Special prize. And of course, I will not get myself in trouble because I will, of course, say hello to Sam and Henry, as well as Hannah and Bully. How you doing, my lovelies?
Good. Yeah, we're good, thank you.
Excellent stuff. Thank you for keeping the flag flying and doing our do. It's, as always, a wonderful thing and an upliftment as well. So thank you, and we'll see you at the end.
Will do.
See you soon. Well, it is
dancing to that.
I know it's got to be done, isn't it? And so now, without further delay, adieu, or anything else, it is, of course, Bully's special prize, the final reading of the night. And then this week it goes to Cheryl. Are you there?
Yes, hey, I'm here.
Excellent. We can all hear each other. I'm out the way. See you in a bit.
Okay, thanks, Nick.
Thank you.
Hi, Cheryl.
Hi, Sandra.
How are you doing?
Hiya. Okay. I'm fine, thank you. You?
Good. But are you really?
Not really, but
just a minute.
Just got to keep going.
Just a minute. Isn't it funny okay, I'm getting this, right? I've got a young lady, I've got a young lady. She's a lovely lady. I've got this lady who stepped forward. Okay. And she's, as she's walking forward, she's doing this because she would have done it in life. She's rubbing her hands because she's showing me that her hands, she had quite bad arthritis, but she's saying to me, it never stopped me doing anything. It never stopped. But as she's walking forward, she's saying, isn't it funny how we always say that? How the persona and the face when you're in front of people, how easy it is to say, I'm fine, I'm good, yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
But it's not. And she's given me that feeling that you at the moment are not going to the right people. You're not talking in the right places. Too many people are giving you too much bad advice. And she's saying that you know that they're giving you bad advice. It's okay. If you cry, I know I've done my job. There's a smile on your face. You're not going to cry. This is good. This is good. She's saying that you know that these people are giving you bad advice and it's time to step away. Those ones that are important to you, those people that are important to you will stay with you and they will start learning that they can't, excuse me, they can't manipulate you.
Yeah.
Because you are getting really fed up with people telling you what to do.
Yeah.
Okay, this lady, I want to put her on grandmother level, and she's coming in. She's coming closer, and she's like, she wants to put her arms under you, under your arm. She wants to lift you up because at the moment you are flat on your feet. She's saying, metaphorically, you are like this. She said, well, come on, my girl, it's time to lift up those shoulders. You used to do it. It's time to bring it back. Okay. She's very, very aware that these last 18 months, particularly 18 months, and I want to go to 2019 when something particularly awful happened. Okay, that's in 2019, that is when things started going pear-shaped for you. And she's saying, you've just let it over, even with this awful thing that's going on in the world at the moment, that hasn't helped, that's fair enough. But to be honest, that's another thing that is happening in life around you. We have two lives, she's saying. You have the life that you're living in, you have the life of you. And she's saying, and you are letting your life spill out into the life. Does that make sense? Okay. It's time to come back and look inside again. It's time to come back and forgiveness. She's talking about forgiveness. All right. 2019. Everything in this life that happens is 50-50. Even if you're in the middle of something and you feel it's all their fault, all right, I've had maybe a 10% hand in it and I shouldn't have done that, but sort of like the 90% of it is their fault. No, to me, it was always 50-50, because if you hadn't continued to let it happen, they wouldn't have carried on. Does that make sense? So you have to, the first and foremost thing that we have to do is forgive our part in it. Whether it's to say, okay, I was stupid, I let it carry on, I forgive myself for doing it. Even if it's just that, and I feel that that is what you need to do. Once you've forgiven yourself, it doesn't matter about what they did. You know, you don't have to forgive them if you don't want to. If you can, that's good. but know that they have got their own problems
Yeah.
having to find that forgiveness. It's the you part that needs to move forward. Okay, now, they're not with you anymore. They've been out of your life for so long now, but you're still holding it here and here. You're still holding it. So you, Nana is saying, time to let go. Time to let go. Okay, she's saying that you've got hobbies and you've got interests that you've stopped doing because you're feeling so low. Okay, she's showing me, actually, she's showing me, I've got it in my hand, she's showing me a pen, and she's saying it's time. She's doing this to the book. It's time. Okay, and you know exactly what that means, and that just doesn't mean journaling down your feelings, because that's a good idea that you need to do. Put down on paper and then screw it up if you want to, but put it down on paper so that it's come out of here and it's out in the ether. That's a great thing. That's a great way of getting rid of tension, of stress, and things you want to let go of. But she's also telling me about this book that you're trying to write. There's a book that you've either started and put away, or it's all up here and you just need to get it down. You've got the first chapter, she says.
Yeah.
You've got the opening line. So what's stopping you?
Fear.
Fear is only fear itself. If you step forward, you've got two choices. You either take a step back or you take another step forward, but you don't fall down. If you take a step back, it means that you've got a little bit more to learn before you can take that extra step forward. For every step that you take forward means that you've learned from the last step. And Grandma is saying that's what you have to do. Okay, sit down with the fear. Sit down with a piece of paper, write down what it is you're afraid of. Why are you afraid to write this book? Then go back and look what you've written, and it will make sense. And it'll be, well, why am I scared of that? Because these words in my head for this book are between me and the piece of paper. Nobody else is going to see it unless you want them to. So where's the fear?
True.
Okay, so she's saying, let's get motivated. I'm going to be there. I'm going to uplift you. And she says, when you wake up in the morning, get your cup of coffee or tea or whatever you do, get yourself ready. She says, and then go and sit in that special chair. Get your pencil. She's saying pencil. Don't get a pen. She's saying, get a pencil. Get your pencil. And start writing it out in pencil, because pencil is easier to erase than the pen. True. Because when you start writing in pen and you start crossing it out, it looks messy, and then you start thinking, I can't do this. But if you've got pencil and you rub that word out, oh, I don't want that word, and you rub that word out, it doesn't exist anymore, and you can start again. So she's coming up with lots and lots of ideas for you to get this. This book is very, very important to you. And it's going to be very, very important when it's published.
Cool. I won't get that far.
Believe it. And she wants me to give you carnations. She's coming forward with yellow carnations. And she's saying the yellow is to bring you that energy into your solar plexus, creativity, to bring that book out from up here onto the paper.
Okay, thank you.
She sends you lots and lots of love.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Let me know how you get on.
I will do. Thank you.
No, by Friday. No, by say Monday. Over the weekend, because tomorrow's Friday, isn't it? Over the weekend, you are going to be sitting there starting your book. I'm on Facebook. You know where I am. Tell me you started the book.
I will do. Okay. Right. Thank you, Sandra.
Thank you.
God bless. Thank you.
And you have no choice in that matter whatsoever.
away.
Cheryl, it's lovely to see you. And,
And
you know, yours is another name that I so frequently see and yet hear so little physically from. So it's really, really nice to have you on with us tonight. And
That's great.
I hope that's been of help to you. I'm sure it has. So best foot forward, and I'll quote Churchill again, KBO, KBO. And you can Google it to find out what it means, because I'm not saying it in church.
Oh.
But, do hang around, my love, and we'll bring you back up for the closing prayer. God bless, darling.
God bless. Take care.
Well, Sandra, the love is certainly being felt in the comment section for you tonight on behalf of us all.
I just want to say thank you so much. I've got them up here. I've got Trace, amazing messages, Sandra, Nicola, beautiful messages for everyone. Another lovely message. I just can't believe it. Thank you so much, everyone. Mwah. Thank you.
Well, thank you, and thank you for a wonderful, genuine demonstration of mediumship. And it really did emphasize what Lynn was saying about the bridge between proving survival, but also teaching us a lesson or two. And of course, whenever you mention a name, she is sure to be brought onto the screen. And this moment is no exception. So, Reverend Lynn, get ready to keep tapping your screen so you don't go into screensaver mode. Reverend Lynn, it's your turn to come up. Hello, are you there?
Hello, yes, and thank you so much, Sandra. That was lovely.
Thank you.
The fact is that we wouldn't have spiritualism without mediumship. Absolutely. And it was just excellent tonight. You proved, with beyond any doubt, that there is survival after this life in another dimension, and what is more, that people can communicate back in order to comfort us and advise us and guide us, and also to prove to everybody else, the world at large, that we are a viable and proper religious movement founded on the truth. And the sooner they all take that on board, the better, really. However, I won't go into that too much. But the fact is this, that if it wasn't for mediums, there'd be no spiritualism. Yeah. And I feel really sorry for people who go into the orthodox or ordinary kind of churches, temples, mosques, etc., and they don't get that wonderful communication coming through from mediums. It's a big part of our lives, isn't it? It's a big part of our worship life as well, and our praise life, because we know what we're worshipping and praising, absolutely. And we know that those in the world of spirit are doing the same thing, only even more so, because they're over there nearer to the source of the great creator. And you certainly uplifted everybody tonight, Sandra, and I'm really glad that you got those comments and people giving you messages, because it's very difficult to work in a vacuum, and it's very nice to get a feedback like that. So thank you very much indeed for serving everybody so well. It's always being patronising when I say thank you, by the way. It's just really so nice, to have somebody like yourself. And of course, the fact is this, that we women, close your ears up, Reverend Nick. We women actually outnumber the men in this movement as far as mediumship goes, and mediums. That is because, you see, men are brought up in a certain way, and they have to fight against that upbringing in order to become what we are ordinarily. We're allowed to explore our sensitive nature, and we are actually, instead of mediums, the old word for a medium was a sensitive. And of course, men with a stiff upper lip and all the rest of it, they find it harder to work on themselves in order to become so sensitive that they can attune themselves to spirit. So we vastly outnumber the men. And the funny thing is that, of course, it was women that started this movement. And in those days, of course, women hardly dared speak out in public at all. And certainly with St. Paul saying that women shouldn't speak in church, and that was sort of hammered into them. He probably just said it in a moment of madness, you know, but nevertheless, it was written down and used as Holy Writ against us lot who want to speak in church. In other words, speak for spirit. And of course, at that time, there were plenty of women doing that, but they got written out of history like so many of us, you know, did. But the fact is this, that women got a voice for themselves in a spiritual area of life that they never had before. And that tradition has been amply carried on with your good self, Sandra.
And isn't it funny how in Victorian times, us women used to be called sensitive?
Yeah.
Still are.
Yeah, we yes, but you see, you know, and there are all sorts of other things going on around that. But you know, I like to think that you know, your demonstration this evening, Sandra, was in a good tradition, and you followed on very well from the Fox sisters. There you are.
Oh, thank you. That's true.
Definitely.
Compliments. Thank you so much for that.
Bless you. Bless you. And thank you, Lynn. Now, I will say a few words in a few moments, but after the service is closed proper. But first, again, to clarify, if there was ever any doubt, Sandra, absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much. I'd also like to say thank you to Alan for the reading, to Sam and Hannah and Bully and Henry. I'd also like to say thank you to Mary, to Karen, and to Cheryl for being our victims. I mean recipients. And of course to yourself, Lynn, for all of the strength and support that you have for us. So let's get everybody back up for a closing prayer before I say a word or two. And let me just hit those magic buttons for a moment as well. There we are. So let us all join together. Oh, Lynn's just disappeared. Bless her. She'll be back in a moment. Don't worry. Oh, hang on. Here she is. There we go. She's back. So let's join together, friends, as we say, Great Spirit, Father, Mother, God, we thank you for the opportunity to come together as friends, to unite under your banner of love and hope and friendship, to witness that life is indeed eternal, that we do go on, and that no matter how hard the path, we can share those footsteps with all those around us, knowing that when it gets too heavy, those footsteps will not be ours, for we will be carried. And so, as I ask for a blessing to be placed on each person here present, witnessing now or in the future, I ask that that blessing shine your love and your light across the world, and that truth that goes with it, that life is indeed forever. And until we meet again, we ask as ever that you not move the mountain, just give us the strength to climb. Amen.
Amen.
Well, friends, I did say I was going to say a few words. And of course, I've said my thanks to everybody. But I need my friends around me for this one, because I'm very much aware that I haven't really referenced and said anything about a certain gentleman. It would be impossible to cover any ground because it was so beautifully covered 2 weeks ago by my friends on the screen here with me, to talk about my dad. And this is, of course, his time of the service. For those that have never been to Littleport, my dad was the chief cook and bottle washer who passed away 2 weeks ago, yesterday. But he, of course, was met and greeted by friends and family of old who came to help and assist him in his transformation into an immortal being. And let's face it, we all thought he was going to live forever. And now he does, of course. He was a quiet man and he was a sensitive man, which really does tie in with what Lynn was saying. He had full of bravado. He had this face on him like thunder sometimes. But deep down, through it all, he was sensitive himself. And he would sit and do the raffle and make the tea in the kitchen, only coming out to lecture the mediums on how to get home without being hit by tractors and deer, and of course have a word or three with anyone who would listen. We spoke earlier about traditions in this church, and I know Lynn referenced it a few weeks ago. He was part of one such tradition in this church, that at the end of the evening, I would invite everyone to partake in a bit of social gathering and drinking. And I would say a certain phrase. And then the shutter would open and there he would be. It's going to be a long time before I can personally say those words out loud. But through the magic of technology and the wonder of the internet, so anyone at home whose family who will find this difficulty, now would be the time to say goodnight. Because before my father passed, we actually snuck into the village hall and made some videos. And so in traditional Littleport style, and signing off for tonight, it's over to you, mate.
The kitchen is now open. Good night and God bless.